All right. So why don't you just introduce yourself? Shall I put you on camera for 2 seconds?
Oh no, 2 seconds. Hi, I'm Keith from Red Plate.
Hey, it's Keith from Hopefully. You didn't want to be on camera. That's fine. I'm Ted from San Antonio.
I'm
Hi,
Ted.
all my Facebook friends. And we're here at Red Plate Amplifiers out of
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. Awesome. So how did the company get started?
Henry, how did the company get started?
Started in my basement.
All right. What inspired you to start an amplifier company?
I've been doing it my whole life.
Have you been doing it your whole life?
Yeah, Henry was had a repair shop. Has
Uh-huh.
worked on amps forever. Started his own thing, and away we went.
All right.
And
Good old American
Very-
ingenuity.
that's right.
Yeah.
Very much. I'm get this little red guy in here.
Yeah.
That was basically
Tweety Verb.
the Tweety Verb is
Yeah.
basically the first amp Henry came out with.
Uh-huh.
Very much a tweed front end, obviously.
And when
With-
you say, when you
with-
say tweed, you mean
Very old school Fender tweed type of style.
So it's kind of like a champ, real saggy, sort of, or
Tweed Deluxe.
tweed deluxe, sort of. Okay, cool. All right, here comes a big cabinet.
Yep.
It's the amp show. It's awesome.
Stole that from Celestion, I see.
Awesome.
Oh, you got the.
And so I'm plugged into this one now. What are we plugged into right now?
We're plugged into
We got
a
a ton
mop.
of amps in here. Are
We-
these all similar, just different, or?
There are some of them that are similar and yet very different.
Uh-huh.
Most of our amps have either a tweed. It depends on the amp, but
Uh-huh.
we have the Tweety Verb that is a tweed front end. It can get gritty. You can it's got reverb in it. Small, little, easy grab and go type of thing.
That'd be like a blues guy, a jazz guy, a country guy,
Yeah.
small gig, not super loud band or anything.
Well, it can be super loud because it's 40 watts. It's going to keep
Oh, okay.
up. It's
Okay.
not a small wattage amp. It'll
Yeah.
keep up and be surprisingly big sounding. It doesn't necessarily have to be mic'd.
Okay.
This next amp right here is completely different in the sense that it's still in the small package, small grab and go type of thing, but it's very Marshall-y, English sounding.
Oh, okay. So it's
As
a
far as
different
it's
character
got
altogether.
two channels, a lot more overdrive. What's that?
Never mind, I'll do it here.
Okay. Next amp over is what we call an RP40. Now it's got a tweed channel and a blackface channel and an overdrive. It's still 40 watts, still a small package, so we kind of threw everything in there. The next one,
So very versatile.
very,
Yeah.
um,
But small grab and go. Does it
grab
come
and
with
go.
that foot switch?
comes with
also?
that foot switch
Oh,
right
okay,
there.
that's awesome.
So you can get between your tweed and your blackface channel. You can have a mid boost. You can have a regular kind of
Wait, changing your mind?
boost from to the drive.
Yeah.
And then this amp has the same foot switch.
Same foot
so-
switch. It's really the same amp, except now we've moved up to 50 watts,
Okay.
and then
And then the knobs are facing front instead of kind of
there's
tilted
no
back
slant.
a
We've
little
got a
bit.
little bit more of a Dumble style cutout there, but still it's a 50 watt amp, still 112, a little bit bigger cabinet, a bigger sound.
Oh, okay.
And the other things that we can throw in there, and we don't have the room to fit in the little guy in the RP50. We've got reverb in there also.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little bit more
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, it's on right now. It
yep.
sounds like a spring.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a small, medium-sized tank, 3-spring.
Cool.
16, 49, 25.
Well, then you were playing blackface.
Yeah,
you can do
that's a black
tweed.
bass. So this one is when I first plugged in, it had a little hair on it. So real touch sensitive.
Very good.
And I'm on my humbucker now.
Right. I was going to say, even on your humbucker, you roll the volume back and it'll clean up really well.
Here's an in-between position.
Let's watch him play.
The long knobs back a little. Pull it. It's got some power to it. Definitely gig volume level. It's with the humbucker, so it'll-
We'll kick in some drive and have at it.
Is that on
That's
here?
a overdrive right here, and so we're going to do that
Stay on the
setting.
humbucker then? enough sustain where you could lighten up on the touch and play a little faster.
And I can give you a little bit more too. So
Okay, so
go ahead.
boost select. Ooh, very nice. Yeah. Move back to the
Back to clean.
Is that boost in front of the amp? Like it should give me more gain, or do you have another switch? Like if I want the solo to be like louder than the band, will it do anything like that? Or?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, with gain like that, you're not gonna. It's not necessarily gonna make it a lot louder.
Uh-huh.
What's happening? I don't know if it's bright enough to get all this in here. What we have is this is the tweed channel, our volume and tone.
Okay. So that's the
Yep.
channel.
In essence, if you're on the tweed channel and you stepped on boost, it's almost like removing the tone stack. It's not exactly the same, but it's adding a boost to it by. And it is in the front end, so it's pummeling the front end. It's not going to necessarily sound loud, but if you're playing clean, it's going to give the impression of being louder because you're adding gain at the front end of the amp.
Yeah.
When you're already distorted like that, gain at the front end of the amp just makes it easier to play and gives you more sustain.
A little more compression, a little more sustain, saturation.
It's always these are working in the preamp section, so the answer is it's not going to be really a solo boost, but it's got a tube-driven loop. If you wanted to, you could put a boost in the loop, an actual boost pedal, and actually get a volume lift.
Okay.
Because the loop is at the end.
Okay.
So
that makes
that
sense.
would work.
So that is an option on it as well.
On the blackface channel, which is the volume, treble, middle, bass
So you got the
mode,
treble, middle, and bass on that
Yep.
mode. Yeah.
I can turn the bass off and take the whole tone stack out,
Oh,
which
that's
is going to
cool.
give it a lift. It's got
It says
a
pull deep,
pot.
yeah.
That's a deep switch, which actually will change
I'd like to hear that, actually.
Okay. Well, we'll give you a point of reference. And then if you do it like that. Yeah. See how it's back.
That'll cut through some drums real good.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Then on the Blackface channel, we have a 6-position mode switch, which kind of goes, in essence, we call it funk, normal, and fat, but there's 6 positions there. And it's,
Put on the funk one.
okay, we're on the thinnest position right now.
Okay.
It's a little bit more mid-range.
Oh yeah. So it kind of thickens it up a little
Just
bit.
keep doing it.
Yeah, it's got a little snarl to it.
Thank you very much.
I don't have that far to go. Maybe I'll skip a trip to the gym today.
Thank you. I'm going to jump up to the next position.
Almost sounds like a switch to a humbucker there. It's got so much thicker low end to it.
Yeah. I'm going to go up again.
Okay.
Last position.
Wow, that's really cool and really unique. That's really cool because you can get like a Stratty, you can take a Stratty kind of sounding thin sound all the way into almost like a humbucking sound, but still with like single coil pickup.
Right, and yeah, and it's all mid voicing. And the other thing that's I guess fun with this, whatever you want to call it, you can pick any one of the lower 5 positions. You know, like if you wanted to go to the thinnest funk position on the foot switch. Try to get get this in here. On the foot switch here, where you have mid, it would be the same as turning this all the way up.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
you leave it in whatever position you like,
and then always jump up to it if you want it. A lot of guys do in a blues context, we'll call it. If they're trying to stay a little bit clean, a little bit snappier for a rhythm, when they solo, it's not that they're even necessarily looking for gain. They'll actually just get a mid push, turn their guitar, maybe play with their guitar volume back a little bit, play it on a snappier clean, and then turn their guitar volume up and do a mid thing and just get a mid push to just get a little bit of bite to it and stand out.
Let me do that. I'm going to go all the way to funk.
Okay.
Which is the far left, and we'll leave it off.
All right.
And I'll see if I can get my boot to do it.
To
Probably
hit.
stand, yeah, and get to the foot switch there. That's a nice thin. So I'm now Rogers or Chic or something, right?
There you go.
And then maybe I'd want to go to like a single note. The single notes are not going to be as loud as the full chord is, you know what I mean? And then you go back to the... I kind of hit both at the same time.
Yeah.
Takes a little practice, but I can probably pull it off.
It takes a little practice when you're doing just the one.
Yeah.
But the other thing is you can do all three real easy.
Yeah.
If you were looking for that too, but that's
Yeah, you go
part
and
of
you're
the thinking.
doing your like rhythm thing. It's time to do the solo. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
This is a really good gigging amp. then.
it covers a lot of
Yeah.
ground. I mean
Yeah.
that's the whole thinking. Just to run you through what the other things we have here right now. This is an amp that we call a Magica. It's got a black face type of clean front end and two gain structures in a hot rodded Marshall type of setting. Gain 1 is very, I'll call it JCM 800-ish, and gain 2 is just a hot rodded Marshall. Different for Yale 34 based amp, a little bit different than what maybe we're known for, which is much more, it's still got a Fender clean, a black face type clean. This is the big brother to that, called a Black Magic. It's 100 watts, has
Well, a lot of people want that. They want a Fender clean sound, but they want the Marshall overdrive.
absolutely,
You know what I mean?
and
even guys will take 2 amps to a gig, which is a huge pain in the
right,
butt. You know?
right. So what this amp does is it gives you a Fender clean. It's the same black face channel as what you were playing over there. Has the same mode switch, the whole 9 yards. When you get into the gain of this one, it's got anywhere. This is the foot switch for it, for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
It's clean, loop, gain 2, and master 2. So it's got a solo. You can have a separate solo setting for volume.
I'll plug into that one. I'm
Okay.
I'm
It's got a
I'm a full stack guy, so I wouldn't
Okay.
mind plugging into the half stack.
No problem.
I just want to hear the Marshall-y, and you got a Marshall cab here, so
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Regular Marshall 412, two vintage 30s, 2 GC7.
It's got that full low end of the full
Yep.
412.
Yep. Okay,
It's
I'm
pretty
gonna.
loud. We can actually back it down a little bit.
Okay,
Channels,
we can
so
do that.
Kick it over.
We can absolutely do that. How's it?
Yeah, that'd be great for live.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's not super boring clean. It's still got some character to it. It's got a
Yeah.
touch of hair to it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
Especially
you need
with-
that live. You know? And then how do I kick it over to?
So then I'm going to go.
do
There's a
some
couple.
riffing?
There's a couple different gain stages. What we're going to end up on here. I'm gonna make this a fair fight.
Okay.
I don't know how much gain you want to have. We're going to go over to a 4 gain stage
Okay.
and listen to that.
Okay. So that's like a real 80s kind of.
Very much so,
Marshall
yeah.
kind of
Then we're going to go to gain 2, which is going to add a little bit of low mid, a little bit more punch to it, and it's going to be, for point of reference, a little bit more like a Soldano SLO.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, so it doesn't quite have that treble bite. It's more like a mid-range.
Yeah, and a little bit thicker and smoother, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Well, I guess if you sustain for days, right? Cool.
The other thing you can do, there's a little switch on the back. I'm probably not going to be able to get it on the camera for you. But this,
we know it's back there.
yeah, this switch, I'm still on gain 2, but there's a switch in the back for gain 2. What it does is it basically, in the grand scheme of things, switches between a 3-gain stage and a 5-gain stage. So you heard something that's, like I said, this is point of reference. I'm not saying our amp sounds like an SLO, but SLO. Now with the 3-gain stage, it's going to sound like an unmodified, closer to
Like a JCM
Plexi
800 or
800 kind of
Play
territory.
JMP, JCM.
Yeah.
So, where it is, Texas. I actually kind of like that. I like fighting the amp a little harder.
Yeah, and it's
because they get a little more pick attack, more dynamic.
right. And so what you know, all of our amps, but especially when you're doing something like this, it obviously is going to take pedals really, really well. What's cool about that is you can have this kind of sound. You can jump back over to gain 1 and solo with it. You know.
I even heard the sustain as I was.
Yeah, as soon as you do. And then back to or you can take like what is in essence, you know, let's call it unmodified old Marshall. You put an overdrive pedal in front of it, and so just another flavor, which is obviously what everybody did then, you know, and even today, if you've got an, you know, and push it hard on that 3-gain stage, and always have at your foot the ability to go to 4-gain stages if you want to.
And then this one has 2 masters, so if I do want the solo to jump out ahead of.
Yeah, it's just
my
it's a
my
second.
drummer starts laying into his cymbals and.
Exactly.
You know, and I need to get above that.
The other thing that's on here, which I did show this before, there's a loop button. So what the loop button is just on and off with the loop. So if you don't want, like, let's say a delay, or, you know, even if you had, let's say, a tape delay, you know, a full tone tape delay, or, you know, an older, you know, EP3
Which
or
I actually
something.
have one of those.
Well, you obviously don't want that out in front of you.
Yeah.
You set it up here, you can put it in the loop, and if you don't want delay running the whole night, you've got control of turning your loop off and on.
Okay, that's cool.
The loop is always technically in the circuit. We're killing the
feed to it. Yeah.
So
Okay, cool.
you're not gonna hear
Now, I
you.
noticed this doesn't have a presence knob on it.
Well, actually, it does.
It does? Where's the
It's
presence?
got a
knob?
presence and depth are in the back.
Oh, they're in the back?
Yep.
So dial up the presence and maybe, I don't know.
You want me to
give me like a bright channel Marshall kind of sound.
Okay, I'm gonna leave the depth alone. I'm gonna bring the presence up.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of depth because, you know, we're getting into bass player territory. Cool.
So didn't change anything but the presence, and you're getting
Yeah.
a lot more bite and out of it. I'm just going to continue on here and
Yeah,
just
yeah, you
run
got
through the
something
last
else in here.
last few here. This is an Astrodust 50. It's been a model of ours for a long time. It's a Tweed-based front end and 2 overdrives. One that I would call a little bit more Dumble-like in drive 1, and then drive 2 is a little bit more Dumble-like, but more of his HRM circuit, with which is his take on a hot-rodded Marshall, basically.
HRM.
Yep.
I like this cover on it too. It's
Our little Comet.
It's like
It's
a,
got-
it's like a Paisley
Yep.
trio yin yang kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's 50 watts. It's got reverb also. This one also is 50 watts. It's called an RP50 Duo. It's just like the other amp you played back there. That was the combo.
Uh-huh.
It's the same thing. It's got a Tweed channel, a blackface channel, but now it's got 2 overdrives. One we call edge, one we call body. Body is basically the same overdrive as the RP50 was over there.
Yeah.
Edge gives you just a little bit more bite, which is why we call it edge. And you can stack the 2 overdrives.
Oh, that's cool.
So you're doing a lot of stacking. This one, if you want to call it a little bit of a tip of the hat to an old blues breaker, it's called a Blues Machine 66. Tweed front end, separate overdrive that's fed by the Tweed front end, reverb, kind of standard stuff there. A pair of KT66s, a little bit larger cabinet. It's a single 12, same mode switch like we talked about on those other amps. Just a little different feel, a little bit. It can definitely get cleaner than an old blues breaker. It can definitely get dirtier than an old blues breaker, but it's got everything in between, and a little bit more of that blues breaker heritage for the guys
Yes,
that
if you're
like
a
the.
Peter Green or a
Right.
Eric Clapton fan.
Yeah, if you're sure.
Slightly overdriven, but still carries the
Yeah.
asphalt through a Marshall sound.
Yeah, if you're trying to get the Beano tones, it's going
Yeah.
to be in there, but it's going to be also able to get a lot more.
So it's more versatile.
Yeah,
There's like
you're going to be able to get into. I at the risk of saying this, if you play like it, I wish I did, but you can go from Beano to Gary Moore.
Oh, okay. That'd be cool.
So it's kind of a fun amp, another one that I really like. So that's everything that we brought here. I think we covered
right.
everything.
Oh yeah, you guys brought a lot of amps. Well, thank you so much for coming to Texas. Appreciate you. Signing off.
All right, sounds good.
Dallas Amp Show.
Thanks for stopping
See y'all
by.
next year, hopefully.